Are you ready for the divine feminine revolution? Let's get vulnerable and go deep. Welcome, everybody, to the Divine Feminine Revolution podcast. I have Dr. Kate Flynn with me, who is an amazing chiropractor, healer, relationship coach. I think a lot of times we focus on the problem or we blame other people or we get stuck in that victim mentality. I think there's the potential to do that in our closest relationships, especially if we have the human wounds of abandonment or betrayal or lack of trust or whatever. And so I'm kind of curious, is there anything specific that you want to share around using your intuition in closest relationships? Because I feel a lot of times it's easy to be a visionary or psychic or intuitive, see the vision for other people. But when it's something like so close to you, it can be harder to see. And then that's when some of those attachment issues can kick in. So you talk on how to use your most authentic voice or just really honor who you really are at the deepest levels and not let those feels get in the way.
I think that the most important thing is that we tend to react rather than respond. So something triggers us in those relationships and we're very much in our egos, we're in our heads and we are everything you just said. We are wounded, we are rejected, we are abandoned, all of those things. And so our tendency and a lot of what has been modeled for us is to react immediately, to just get people to understand you're not playing a sport here. You do not have to react immediately. You can take a breath and respond. You can walk away, you can go clear your head. You can give yourself a minute to come back into your heart where you can understand another perspective or where that person might be coming from without the need to take it personally, which is what trips us up because you can still be intuitive in that moment, but whatever word or whatever thing you hear, you're going to attach to it something egoically, right? You're going to say, this is what I heard, and you're going to run with that without letting it settle. So I say we're all intuitive and we all get true information, but that information has to make it through our filters.
Ooh, yeah.
And if it doesn't make it through your filter in a way that's still true and still authentic, then you will be reacting and you will be wrong.
A lot of times we just mind read and why can't he tell what I'm thinking or why can't she tell?
Right.
And
Considering that people that we are in relationship with will only be as honest with us as one, we are with ourselves, and two, as we create the space for them to be. So if we have set the tone where if I ask you what you're honestly thinking, and then I get mad at you for thinking it, that person is going to learn real quick. It's not safe for me to be honest with you. So you're never going to get the truth because you've shown that you take it personally. And then it just goes downhill from
it's difficult to ask for things, to express our needs. And that really is such a huge part of a functional relationship. So how do you help people with that?
there. Are techniques to help you learn self-trust and self-love and letting go of fear and all those things that kind of cloud your ability to come out of your ego and into your heart so that you can be and realize sometimes I hear a lot like, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, and that's very much a defense mechanism. And it's also protective of our authentic selves. So being willing to be vulnerable, to get your feelings hurt a little bit and still continually show up. No, not an abusive relationship or something. That's a different story. I'm talking about how brave and amazing is your husband and how you know that you're perfectly partnered to have somebody that will go through that. Because if that love wasn't there and authentic, he would be like, no.
I think you said the perfect word, which is willing. And like in therapy, we talk a lot about willingness versus willfulness. And willfulness is that stubborn ego.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm not going to move. I'm right here. And even if it's super painful, I'm not giving up my stance. That willingness is that lovely flexibility to get vulnerable, go deep, be seen, be heard, and do that for the other person.
Because that tends to be where we gravitate. What is wrong? Where is the door closed? What is the problem? And when we do that, we often miss all the open doors or green lights that I like to call it, because I used to look for the red light all the time. And it was like, maybe it would be more fun if I looked for the green light. Where is the open door that I can move forward? And knowing if you move forward in a different way, it can actually create some space around that obstacle that you weren't getting anywhere with before. So I think that's really cool.
That's so true. I know my Oracle decks are always calling me out. It's like, you're looking over here, what's not working when there's like all this other good stuff. It's working.
And it's the same thing I found in chiropractic. We're very drawn to where the pain is. My elbow hurts right here. I don't want to look anywhere else, but sometimes the elbow pain is coming from your neck or your shoulder or your knee. Your whole body is connected. Everything is connected. So if you have your blinders on, you're only willing to go in one direction, you're going to miss all the places where you could move forward. I think the biggest lies we tell ourselves about anything are we don't have enough time and we don't have enough money.
So true.
As soon as you start telling yourself that, eventually, if you catch yourself, you'll have your own little inner lie detector that will go off and be not true. Not true. Because we have the time and the money for things that we make the time and the money for.
Exactly. And switching that out to that's not a priority for me. Oh, that stings a little bit. It's not, I don't have time or I'm too busy or I can't afford it, but it's more the reality of it. And so just being like integrity in your words for sure. But that is such a common thing I see for people. And just that, I think particularly for women, I see a lot of just self-sacrificing where it's, especially I think for empaths, because we feel things so deeply, like let me take care of everybody else. And then maybe I can then maybe I'll be okay. However, obviously that's backwards. Really taking good care of yourself is, I think, such a huge part of being in a relationship, because if you don't take care of yourself and you're self-neglecting, you basically abandon yourself. So how are you going to be present partnership? Thanks for listening to the Divine Feminine Revolution podcast. Make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Want to keep the conversation flowing? Find us where revolutionary women gather to listen to their hearts, monetize their gifts, and change the world.